हरे कृष्ण। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी, जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी, जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। यशोधानंदन व्रज जननंदन, यशोधानंदन व्रज जननंदन, जमुना तीर वनचारी, जमुना तीर वनचारी, जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी, जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी, जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरि नाम संकीर्तन की जय, श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय, श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। Thank you, devotees. Hare Krishna, Dandavat pranams to all. Does anybody want to continue Sankirtan for another few minutes till Prabhuji joins?
Hello, Bhakti. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Yes, Mataji, please.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Gurudev ki
Thank you, Mataji. Hare
Hare
Krishna. Hare Krishna,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna.
Prasad Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Dandavat pranams. You can start, Prabhuji. You can please take over.
Hare Krishna. So that was pronounced to all the devotees.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Is my audio and video okay? You all are able to hear me?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes,
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji.
Thank you. All right, so we'll get started then. Thank you for the wonderful kirtan. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narotamam Devim Saraswatam Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudirayet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhavati Naishtaki Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pungum Langayate Girim Yatkripatam Maham Mande Shri Guru Dinatarinam Ramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Hare Krishna. So today we will be looking at Canto 3, Chapter 13, texts 24 to 27. These are the 4 shlokas that we will look at for today. The title of this chapter is The Appearance of Lord Varaha. So that's the chapter that we are dealing in. So I'll just read the first shloka and then yes, the devotees can volunteer for reading all the 4 shlokas and then the meaning also.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu.
No, the first one I'll read first.
Yeah,
and then
you
after
can.
that, then, yeah, you can. Brahmanam harshayam asa harishtam sa vijottamam swagarjitena kakubha pratishvanana yatha vibuhu. So, Anusuya Mataji, do you want to read the shloka?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat pranams. Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah, please.
Brahmanam harshayamasa haristamascha dinottaman swagarjitena kukumaha pratisvanayata vibuhu. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So who would like to read the translation?
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Please go ahead.
24, text 24. Translation by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Yeah.
The omnipotent Supreme Personality of Godhead enlivened Brahma and other highly elevated Brahmanas by again roaring with his uncommon voice, which echoed in all the directions. Purport.
No need. Purport, no need, Mataji. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So the next verse is up for display. Who would like to read this?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Jai Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam. Please go ahead, Mataji.
Nisamyate Gharitam Swakeda Syayini Sayishnu Maya Sukharasya Janastapa Satya Nivasinaste Ribi Pavitrair Munayo Agranansma. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Nice. And the translation, any takers for this?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, may I?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. When the great sages and thinkers who are residents of Janaloka, Tapaloka and Satyaloka heard the tumultuous voice of Lord Bor, which was the all-auspicious sound of the all-merciful Lord, they chanted auspicious chants from the three Vedas. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Look at the next shloka also. Verse 26. Yeah, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Sudha Mataji, you want to read? Please go ahead, Mataji.
Okay, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Tesham satam veda vitanamurtir brahma vadar yatma gunanuvadam vindya bhuyo vibhuddho yaya gajendra lilo jalama vishesha. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Translation? Yes.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. Playing like an elephant, he entered into the water after roaring again in reply to the Vedic prayers by the great devotees. The Lord is the object of the Vedic prayers, and thus he understood that the devotees' prayers were meant for him. Hare Krishna.
Hari. Thank you so much. The last shloka for today, that is.
Shanti Mataji, please read.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Just one second, Mataji. Yeah. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Utshiktavalakacharah kadora sada vidunvan kararomasatbak kurahadaprah sitatam shra ikshajyodhir bhabase bhagavan mahidrah. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Translation?
Yes.
Yeah. Translation, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Before entering the water to rescue the earth, Lord Bor flew in the sky, slashing his tail, his hard hairs quivering, his very glance was luminous, and he scattered the clouds in the sky with his hooves and his glittering white tusks. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pachayata Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gauravakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So, before we start, I'm just seeking the blessings of all the devotees, Vaishnavis who are here. So kindly bless me so that I'll be able to do some justice to these 4 wonderful verses that we are looking at. We're going to look at today. Doing this as a seva for my Guru Maharaj and for the pleasure of the Lordships and as a learning for myself. So please bless me so that the right words come at the right time in the right spirit. Hare Krishna. Okay, so a little bit of background, I think not much into detail. So the title of this particular chapter is Appearance of Lord Varaha. So we have seen in the earlier shlokas how the Lord comes out as a boar, Varaha, or Varaha Avatara. So how does the boar decide to come, or how the Lord comes out in the form of a boar? He comes out through the nostrils of Lord Brahma. And then when it comes out, it was the size of the tip of the thumb, something like that, small thing. How much big it can be if it has to come out the nose of a person. So it was very small. And then it immediately then begins to grow. The boar is growing. It becomes a huge boar. And then when this growth is happening, then Lord Brahma is actually meditating, or like he's contemplating. He's wondering, what is this happening? Who's this wonderful form that has come out? And now it's suddenly growing, and then it has become so huge. So he is actually thinking, who could it be? And then he realizes, who else could it be? It has to be the Lord only. So in this way, the thought processes are described in the earlier shlokas. And then it says that here in this particular thing, shloka, that is verse 24. Here it says that the omnipotent supreme personality of Godhead enlivened Brahma and other highly elevated Brahmanas by again roaring with his uncommon voice, which echoes in all directions. So generally, it is a very uncommon voice because we generally don't hear the roar of a boar, right? I mean, it's a grunt, it's not a roar. But then here, because it is huge, then it is described as a roar. So it's an uncommon roar. It's not very common that you will hear it. And then it is echoed in all the directions. Now, generally what happens is there should have been fear. I wonder what this is. What is this huge structure? If something is beyond our understanding, then immediately we become fearful. That is what it is, correct? When we realize that there is something beyond my understanding, then I don't know what is there, or something like that. Then we become fearful. Now, but that's for the regular people. So now, if you look at devotees of the Lord, they are not fearful, especially when the Lord comes in any form. We have the example of Prahlad Maharaj when Narasimhadev appeared. I mean, it was so ferocious. It was a sight that was not seen. Half lion, half man. It is like the Acharyas explain, it is not half lion, half man. It is neither lion nor man. The form is difficult to describe. And so that's how, in that particular explanation of the pastime, they say it's not exactly half lion, half man. But then it was like both lion and man, that kind of a description. Anyway, it was very fearful because Narasimha Avatar was very ferocious, and then he comes out with lot of wrath, anger. He's red, his eyes are like burning, and then because he came out because his devotee was being punished cruelly by his own father. So he was very angry and upset, and then he comes out to vanquish the father, that is Hiranyakashipu. So when everybody is afraid, but then Prahlad was not at all afraid because he could see the Lord in whatever form he was able to identify the Lord. And we see a very similar situation where Lord Brahma is actually seeing something unnatural happening, and then suddenly that form is growing. But then he understood that it has to be the Lord and it can't be anyone else. And then they become enlivened. They are not afraid, but they become enlivened. Now, generally, regular people will become afraid. So fear of God, so this fear is something that is put into us, and so that at least then we will worship the Lord. So this is one aspect of the emotion, which sometimes is necessary and good. But then the fear aspect actually will go away once we begin to understand the Lord, once we understand who He is, what is my relationship, and so on and so forth. As we make progress, then the fear will go away. And then once we hear from the Acharyas, then we realize that. And that's what Prabhupada is saying here, that he became enlivened by this. And then actually this boar was like a mountain. It was such a huge boar. It is growing, and it has grown into a big mountain. But it did not fill them with any kind of fear. Although the Lord, that is the boar's voice, was also tumultuous and echoed horribly in all directions. So the sound as well as the sight and whatever is happening was not very good. But still, there was no fear, and it was not like. But then it was very challenging to the demons because it was a threat for them. Because anybody who's challenging the omnipotency of the Lord, they will become fearful. What is omnipotency of the Lord? Omnipotency means the Lord can do anything. Rukramangi. That means he can do Herculean tasks. He can accomplish anything. So that is the definition of God. By definition, the Lord can do great things, things which are beyond our imagination. And we cannot understand the Lord because the Lord is Dhokshaja. He is beyond the reasoning, beyond our understanding. So now these are various aspects of how the Lord is described in the Shastras. But then for a demon, then they become afraid. So we saw how even Hiranyakashipu became very afraid when Narasimhadev came. And then here also it is told that this roar and then this huge form actually put fear in the demons. And it can actually bewilder everyone. If there is no proper understanding, which is by the mercy of the Lord, then all these negative emotions come. So that is why they say like a person who is realized, God realized, he is Prasannatma. He is Brahmabhuta, then he is Prasannatma. Asochati na kankshati. So, and then he sees everybody equally. So in this way, these are all the qualities that manifest in an individual when they begin to understand the Lord, or when they get closer to the Lord, when they contemplate on the Lord. Getting closer to the Lord is by contemplation, by chanting, by doing seva, by being associated with the temple, by doing activities which will please the Lord. That is, by distributing his books, which will please the Guru and the Parampara, which means that Krishna becomes pleased by that. So these are very many activities that we can do which will please the Lord and which will take us closer to the Lord. So the very fact that these negative emotions are going away from us, it is an indication that we are actually making some amount of progress. Now, some amount of progress we are making is not to be taken literally. It has to be understood that I'm able to make some progress because of the mercy of the Lord. So that's the way it has to be understood, as it is explained by our acharyas. Now, what actually? Okay, so now one question that I have is, in the modern day, current day, how is this fear manifested generally? Anybody wants to try? I mean, give an answer. See, my question is like we fear the unknown. All of this we saw, and then we are also seeing how the devotees are not bewildered. They don't become fearful, and they accept things as it is. That is what we are seeing in these shlokas, right? not only the people in this, like Brahma and his sons or the other great sages, but even the people who are in other lokas, like the Swarga Loka, the Tapaloka, the Jana Loka, and all other lokas, Janaloka, Tapaloka, and Satyaloka, they also could hear the sound or the grunt or the roar that was made by Varaha, the boar form of the Lord. And then they became very enlivened too. And then they started chanting the Vedic hymns. So there are two things here. One is they had the right intelligence to understand that the Lord has come, or it is the Lord who's in this particular form. And then they are immediately able to connect. Their sambandha is established so strongly that the Lord, in whatever form he comes, they are able to relate immediately to the Lord. And that is the intelligence of the people who are in the other thing. So this intelligence, where is it coming from? For a pure devotee, the intelligence is coming from Krishna. Because what was that shloka which says, Sarvasya chaham hridi sanivishto matasmritir jnanam apohanam cha. So Vedaisya sarvair ahameva vedyo vedantakrit vedavid eva chaham. So Krishna says very clearly, I am the one who's giving intelligence and remembrance. So if he is giving us the intelligence, so if we have figured out something, then it means we have used our intelligence. But the intelligence is coming from the Lord, which is actually the mercy of the Lord. So that is why the devotee, the position of the devotee is always becoming more and more humble, because the devotees realize that it is not because of their endeavor, it is more because of the mercy of the Lord. So this particular shift then is seen. I mean, we can see actually devotees like Lord Brahma exhibiting this. If you look at the earlier shlokas, it says very clearly that when earth got deluged and then it got submerged into the water, then of course Brahma was, he panicked a little bit, but then he immediately knew that I cannot do anything. I'll have to depend. The Lord only has to help me. So there was immediate surrender in those shlokas we can see. He immediately said that I'll have to surrender to the Lord, and then he has to help us now to continue this process of creation that I have been empowered to do. I'll not be able to proceed further because the earth has gone into the water. But if I have to proceed, then the Lord has to help me. I mean, this taking the earth out of the water is not a simple task. So you would have seen how when a huge ship sinks into the water, taking it out is impossible actually. That is why many times they don't take the task of bringing a sunken ship out, even though they might go down, see, and then see that it is there. But then getting it up is not an easy task. So like that, we can understand that it's a very great task which cannot be accomplished. So Brahma was intelligent enough to understand that, and then immediately surrenders. And then as he had surrendered, immediately there is reciprocation also. So the Lord, it is not one-way street. It is not like, oh, and then it's because there is 100% surrender. Immediately, the Lord comes through the nostrils as Varaha, and now is growing in size. And now immediately Brahma is able to understand that it is the Lord himself who made the appearance, and then they want to see. And meanwhile, all the people in the other lokas also are hearing the sound, and then they are seeing this huge form in the sky, which is actually now from a mountain, from an elephant, and it is growing to the size of a mountain. Then it is even growing bigger than that, because we can imagine what should be the size of the boar if it has to lift Mother Earth and then bring it back to its position from where it got submerged. So this way, the growth is happening, then the people are happy, the devotees are happy. Now, my quick question was, how do we understand that the demons of today, in what way they will express their bewilderment? Anybody wants to give a try?
Diseases, Prabhuji?
Is it?
In the form of diseases?
Disease, maybe, but I'm not able to connect the two. Why do you say that?
Like COVID, Prabhuji.
Okay. So, okay, go ahead. Okay.
Or anything like that, Prabhuji?
Is it?
Anxiety, Prabhuji.
Anxiety, okay. What other emotions?
Natural calamities, Prabhuji. When natural
No,
calamities
when they hear the Lord, then how do they express their bewilderment? Commonly. How do we see the Lord now?
Fear, Prabhuji.
Huh? Fear.
Fear.
Yeah, but one more manifestation of fear. How does fear handled by the people generally?
Anger.
No, not anger. You don't become angry.
Crying, Prabhuji, by crying?
Selfless,
Maybe.
like seeking for shelter or
Prabhuji, there is
something.
Stuti of Bhagwan. They
Prabhuji,
start
like
praying to Bhagwan.
Prabhuji, praying.
Yeah,
they
okay.
seek
So
help.
you all are devotees. You cannot think like the demons. So yeah, by
Prabhuji,
praying, all that is
they
good.
will say that it is
Prabhuji,
all
you asked
fanatic.
what the demons will do when they are this one, no, Prabhuji. So they'll express their anger by destroying something or things like that, no, Prabhuji.
Yeah, correct. They will destroy. See, what I was saying was when they hear about the Lord, when they see these activities of the Lord, or when they hear the activities, what is the immediate thing that a non-devotee does is he will.
Prabhuji, it's can I have a try? Maybe
Yeah, go
they
ahead,
will
go
say
ahead, go
it's
ahead.
all fanatic. It's all
Yeah.
just. It's not real. They'll say
It is not real. They reject it. They reject it. Like Govardhan Leela, it gets rejected.
They don't believe it.
Yeah, they don't believe it. So that is how they say that they're not having faith, we say. Yes, but then they reject it completely, because if they have to accept it, then they will have to accept all the things. So they'll say it is mythology, and then they will reject it completely. And then they will say there is no such thing. It cannot happen. How can it happen? How can somebody do that? How can you say that this happened and that happened? All that logic and other things will come. So they will use their intelligence to protect their anxiety and fear by completely rejecting it. And that is what we are seeing. Now, if you're reading the appearance of Lord Varaha, then immediately so many questions will come up for the demon, and they'll just close the book and they'll say, no, this is not possible. But when you say it is not possible, that means you are questioning the omnipotency of the Lord. You are questioning the prowess of the Lord. And you're saying, how can a person conclude that the Lord cannot do this or it cannot be true? No, because the Lord is Urukramangi. That is why when we hear through the Acharyas, when we read the books of Srila Prabhupada, when we are connected completely to the Parampara, then the understanding comes. The understanding now we realize is not my own understanding. This understanding is there because of the mercy of the Lord. Through the Parampara, it is coming down. So when the mercy begins to flow, that is why Krishna says, Matasmritir jnanam apohanam cha. I give the intelligence, I give the remembrance, the forgetfulness, and all of that is from me. So now, because of the mercy of the Lord, we are able to speak on the avatar of the Lord. And we are able to go into the descriptions, and then going into the descriptions and then trying to see how there is reciprocation that is happening between the Lord and his devotees. Because we know now, at one level of understanding is, what was that shloka in Bhagavad Gita? Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chadushkrutam dharma samstapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. So I come, whenever there is a religion, increase in a religion, then I come to re-establish the principles of dharma, and then I come to kill the demons and then protect my devotee. So this is one level. Then there is another level of activities that happens or interactions that happen. The Lord also is coming, or he takes avatara to give pleasure to his devotees. So in the Padma Puran, there is one particular shloka which talks about, what's that? Mad bhakthanam vinodhartam karomi vividha kriyaha. So what it says here in Padma Puran, the Lord is saying, I perform different pastimes in this world to give pleasure to my devotees. So now you can see the avatar happening is only one, which is the Varaha coming out. But there is fear in the hearts of the demons. There is enlivenment in the hearts of the devotees. They are happy because they are able to recognize. And then there is also, he is giving pleasure by reciprocating with them. The moment they start chanting the hymns, that is in verse 25, we see how the people in the other lokas, because Bhuloka is not there, it is inside the other lokas are able to see and hear, and they immediately start chanting the Vedic hymns. So chanting the Vedic hymns is like acknowledging the presence of the Lord. And the Lord understands this. He knows that these devotees of mine, they have understood that it is me. And then they have started chanting the Vedic hymns. And so to reciprocate, he gives another roar. And then it makes them more happy. So here it's not a normal conversation, but still there is perfect reciprocation between the Lord and his devotees, and it is giving pleasure. They are all so happy to see the Lord. They realize that now Mother Earth will be rescued and so on and so forth. So it fills them with happiness and joy. So all these actions are happening. Not only Pritranaya Sadhuna, of course, he is going to destroy the demon, he is going to protect his devotee, which is Mother Earth in this case, and then also give pleasure to all the devotees. So in various levels we can understand, and all these interactions we are able to learn, hear and then appreciate because of the mercy of the Lord, because we are surrendered, because we accept the authority of Krishna, the omnipotency of Krishna. That is what it says here. What did it say? People who are accepting the omnipotency of the Lord, they can actually understand. So we read that somewhere. When we come to that, we will see that again. Sorry, 1 second. Okay. So in this way, when the Vedas are being sung, then Prabhupada actually in his but he comes up with a beautiful analogy. He says that, the Vedas are actually coming from the Lord. And now, Vedas, actually, we also say that the Vedas are coming from the mouth of Lord Brahma. Now, Vedas are the Shruti mantras. Shruti mantra or Apurshaya means it is coming from the Lord directly. It is Apurshaya. It is not man-made. But then, whatever Brahmaji heard, and then he was able to replay it, not reciprocate, replay it. So he was able to tell it out again. So when he started saying that, he also understood. So he heard, he understood, and he was able to repeat. So now, when it came out from his breath, so how does the sound come? Sound is coming out by way of, by way of breathing, controlling the breathing, Then that's how we are able to produce the sound. If I'm speaking, that means I am breathing in a certain way by some constrictions and all that, which is making these sounds to come out. Okay, so breath is the reason for the Vedic mantras to come out. And then Prabhupada goes on and then he compares that to say that because the breath means then it is through the nostrils. We breathe in and breathe out through the nostrils. So when Varaha came out through the nostrils of Brahma, he actually compares it and he says it is actually personification of Vedas, because the Vedas were also came out from the breathing of Lord Brahma. And when Lord Brahma was breathing out, then Varaha, the small form of Varaha came out. So Varaha is the personification of Vedas, which is actually Krishna himself or avatar of the Lord. So that is what it says in same shloka 15.15. Vedaisya sarvair ahameva vedyo. I am Vedas and I am the end of Veda. Vedanta krit vedavid eva chaham. So in this way, we can understand how the Supreme Lord is non-different from the sound of the Lord or the Vedas. And so they are the same. And then he says, I am known by the Vedas and I am actually the Vedas and I am known by the Vedas. So everything is connected. And Prabhupada is saying how he is a personification of Vedas, which is to say that the Varaha that came out from the nostrils of Brahma is none other than the incarnation of the Lord. So like this, we are seeing many aspects with respect to this particular avatar. And then we can understand that how the people in Satyaloka and other lokas have this intelligence by the mercy of the Lord, and they are able to appreciate, and then they are able to immediately immediately sing, praise the glories of the Lord. And then the glories of the Lord singing is actually reciprocated by the Lord by this roar or grunt. Now, singing the praise, reciprocation of the Lord, they all did it with Vedas. Here, how do we do? We have to do, if we are suddenly, when we are hearing something, what do we say to reciprocate our or to express our happiness or to glorify the Lord? What do we say generally?
Praise the Lord. Hari Bol.
Yeah, how do we do that? We say Haribol.
Quality.
Haribol.
We say Haribol. So now we are so foolish. I mean, like our intelligence is so less that we cannot master the Vedas and then chant appropriately and all of that. So we don't have that kind of intelligence. So because we are like in the Kali Yuga, in memory is less, everything is less, right? So we cannot do that kind of sadhana. So by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we have been given the name of the Lord, and then says like you just chant it in whatever way you want. You just chant, you sing, you shout, then it is the same. And that's why this Haribol, and actually the people who are chanting the mantras because they saw the Lord, and we saying Haribol when we hear the Katha, it is the same. Lord becomes happy when he hears this Haribol as well as when he heard the mantra. And of course, somebody might ask now, there though he reciprocated by a grunt, is a reciprocation happening here? Yes, the reciprocation happens here also. But we should have the intelligence to understand the reciprocation that is there. So we should have to beg. If we didn't feel that there was a reciprocation, it only means that we have not got the mercy. So we will have to surrender more and thereby become a recipient for that mercy. Thereby we will know that he is reciprocating with us. Otherwise, it'll look like, oh, I said Haribol, but nothing happened. So this is one aspect that comes out very nicely. Our acharyas have brought it out very nicely, saying that it is the faith, and then from faith the surrender, and based on the level of surrender, then the reciprocation happens. So everything is tying together so well. So who's the central figure in all of these discussions that we are happening? Of course, the Lord is central, but there is one more central figure with respect to the Lord. What is that central entity? It is us, each one of us, individual souls. So if we say we are the central entity of this particular, any discussion that happens, when we become part of any lila, when we are part of any katha that is going on, or when we are part of any seva that we are doing, the onus is on us as doers. What is it? How I am doing it? In what surrender mood I am doing? Based on that, the reciprocation happens from the Lord. All of you are aware of this. So, ye yathamam prapaddante tam stathaiva bhajamiham. So, with all these philosophy and understanding, we can come to a conclusion that yes, the leelas are happening. The potency is there in the leela. The potency is there in the name of the Lord. So, saying Haribol is the same as chanting as chanting the Vedic mantras, as well as when we say not Haribol. Of course, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave us the 16-syllable mantra: Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. It has the same potency as the Vedas, but then we may not believe it completely because the surrender is not complete. So maybe it is little, so it has to become a little more. Then belief will come. This is how our acharyas have explained. So I'm just putting that across. And then that is how Prabhupada so wonderfully concludes, saying that the most important of the vibrations, transcendental vibrations that are there, because he was talking about the Vedas, and then he immediately shifts to the Mahamantra, where he says the most important is the Naradiya Purana verse, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And then he is able to connect these two and bring out the aspect of how taking the Lord's name is also again non-different, because that's another aspect that we all know. So much of philosophy is there in these verses, which Prabhupada has brought out very nicely. And then he's also describing certain significant words in the verses, where Maya is a very significant word in the verse number 25, where Maya means mercy, specific knowledge, and also illusion. So therefore, Lord Bore is everything. He is merciful, he is all knowledge, and he is illusion also. So that is how we describe the Lord, right? So in this way, the sound which he vibrated as the Bore incarnation was answered by the Vedic hymns of the great sages in planets. The highest intellectual and pious living entities live in those planets, and when they heard the extraordinary voice of the Bore, they could understand that the specific sound was vibrated by the Lord and no one else. So that's the main takeaway there. And then the interaction continues with the Lord. The Lord is continuing his interaction. So what he does, he takes a plunge. like an elephant, and then huge, and then jumping, and then he's moving in the sky, and then he takes a plunge into the water. Now, why is he taking the plunge into the water? To get Mother Earth out of that. And now, why does he do that? Hare Krishna, somebody wants to say something? So why does he make that show like an air show? You see when you visit an air show in Bangalore, it happens. So you'll see that the aircrafts are all moving in very many formations and all that. So acrobatics, aerobatics, or whatever you want to call. So here also the
Delight
Lord
the
is.
devotees, Prabhuji.
Sorry.
To delight the devotees, Prabhuji.
Yeah, so he's reciprocating. He likes. He is also happy. And then he does a flip or whatever, and then he makes that, and then he takes a plunge into the ocean to continue with his job of protecting the devotee, that is Mother Earth. So all the aspects are being addressed here. He's giving pleasure. He's going to protect the devotee, and then of course later on he will vanquish the demon because the boar avatar that will come later on. So we will not dwell into that. So this is how these interactions are being explained by Srila Prabhupada so wonderfully. And then we saw how he is the breath or the Vedas personified, because Vedas are connected to vibration. Vibration is connected to breathing, and breathing means then the nostrils. So through the nostrils, then the Varaha, the small boar came. So this is how the Lord. When the Lord is being offered prayers, then he reciprocates in this way. And then he's giving pleasure to all of them. And then another aspect, so that we should be aware of is when we are actually looking at in the olden days, when they were doing activities, and then today we are doing the Harinam Sankirtan, or there are certain activities that we do. But then the potency of both is the same. That is one aspect that comes out very well in the lecture that I was listening to on these shlokas, where Acharya was saying that there are 4 aspects that Srila Prabhupada has given us. So what has he given us? There are 4 things that we need to do. So one is, of course, the chanting of the holy name, or Sankirtan. So in Sankirtan means then chanting or singing the holy name. So giving the holy name to others. By giving it to others, we purify ourselves. Because when we have to give the holy name, we have to take that holy name. So now if I have to tell you, chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. When I'm saying that to somebody, I'm chanting myself, and thereby I get that benefit also. So like this, when we do that, when we do Sankirtan, we are supposed to do Sankirtan, which means that we are taking the Lord's name, which is very beneficial to us. Secondly, we are also told to do book distribution. Now, what is book distribution? Book distribution is distributing the names of the Lord, and not only the names of the Lord, but we are also distributing what? The Leelas of the Lord. When we do distribution of the book, then books are the Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam contains the Leelas of the Lord. So actually, you are actually giving the Leelas to the other person. And then we are also giving the philosophy, or we are telling, if we give the Bhagavad Gita, then we are telling the person who is Lord. So we are introducing Lord Krishna to that other person by giving the Bhagavad Gita. So there also we are involved in connecting somebody to the Lord. We are helping that person to develop his Sambandha Jnana. So only when Sambandha is there, then only Videya and Prayojana will bear fruit. Otherwise, it is a Shama Evahi Kevalam. It is a wasted endeavor. It is a wasted time. So that is why Sambandha becomes very important. And Sambandha is established by chanting, by doing Sankirtan, and by doing book distribution. So we are in the month of book distribution. Many of you might be going out or are planning to go out, especially the coming Saturday when it is Vaikuntha Ekadasi. So now if we go in this mood of saying that, let me do some distribution. No, it's not that I am distributing, but then let me try to give Sambandha or give Krishna to somebody, a new person, and thereby that will make Krishna happy. And then even if that person doesn't is the very fact that we spoke to that individual means that we have given Krishna to that person. So it may not result in buying of the book. Many times they might just hear and then go away. Okay, some of them may not even hear, but they would have just heard Krishna and it would register in their mind. That itself is a service done to Krishna. So Krishna takes the best even in a failed endeavor. We know that. So we don't have to worry too much about the number of books that I have sold. Oh, they all did 20. I could only do 2. No, not like that. If we are able to make a very sincere attempt and then put that across in this mood and then depend on the Lord. So you just do. That's what they say. Books will sell by themselves. That's what Prabhupada also had said. He says that you just be the media. That's all. You are the carrier, like a postman. The books sell by themselves. There is a connection between the Paramatma sitting in the other person's heart and the book Krishna that we are holding, and then something happens and then it goes. That's all. We are not doing anything. We are not the doer. When we think we are the doer, then we start comparing the scores. We start comparing how much the other person has read. Oh, I could only do this much. Or we become very proud when we are doing, when let's say we did more than others, then we become proud. So we get into a different loop altogether. But that's not the end game of why we have to do book distribution. What's the mood? The mood is to give Krishna. I'm giving Krishna. Okay, he didn't take it this time, but next time somewhere somebody else he will give. The journey of that person has already started. The moment he says Hare Krishna once, then their spiritual progress has started. So this is the understanding. This is what is there. So book distribution, another activity that we have to do. I just briefly told about the mood. I mean, I'm saying this not because I'm practicing all of this. I'm just saying this based on what we have heard. That's all. It doesn't mean that I'm practicing all that. I also need to go a long way in all of this. That's number 2, book distribution. Then the third aspect that we've been told, one was Sankirtan and book distribution. And then the fourth, and book distribution is like giving the Leela. And then the other thing is doing seva. Okay. What is that? Doing seva is working together and then doing some seva. That is the bhakti yoga aspect, which pleases the Lord. So involved in the seva. And then he actually said it is about, the third aspect is about initiation. So initiation means what? Taking the Harinam or the holy name from a bona fide parampara, who's connected to the parampara, bona fide guru. So we are actually aligning ourselves to the parampara. That's another activity that Prabhupada wanted all of us to do. So which is initiation. So one is Sankirtan, and then book distribution, and then initiation. Why initiation is important? Because it establishes our link to the parampara, which means that the surrender is there. And then it means that we are accepting the parampara, we are surrendering to the Lord, to all the people in between, that is all the gurus, the whole parampara is being served. So that pleases Krishna more. That we know, even in Krishna has told many instances, if you serve my devotee, I'm more pleased when you please my devotee, then I'm more pleased than you pleasing me directly. In Bhagavad Gita, he has said that. So like this, we can understand how parampara becomes important, how initiation becomes important from that perspective. And then he also spoke of another aspect, which is called as a classless society that we need to have. But he actually meant Varnashrama Dharma, following Varnashrama Dharma. But he was bold enough to go one step and say it is a classless society that we want to create. Vaishnava, it's contradictory, right? So we hear this thing about Vaishnava, universality of our Vaishnavism is Vaishnava. The whole world is one view. We have, right? What is that phrase that we use? I'm not able to recall. Vasudeva Kutumbakam. Yes, thank you. So the Vasudeva Kutumbakam is like a family kutumba. So there are no classes. It is all, everybody is equal. In the sense, each one has their position. But then he also said we have to re-establish the Varnashrama Dharma. I was not able to do that. So it looks a little contradictory. One side we are saying we are classless. The other side we are saying we want to promote Varnashrama. So we will have to understand this in the right perspective. So Prabhupada actually made a very bold statement there. He was actually trying to say that we have to establish Varnashrama But in the Varnashrama, everybody is the same when we are serving the Lord, when we are in front of the Lord, because each one to his or her own capability or ability, they will be able to serve in a certain way. And that certain way identification is the Varnashrama system, where you have the intelligent class, and then you have the administrative class, and so on and so forth. But all of them are engaged in serving the Lord. So when they all come together to serve the Lord, then it becomes classless, because in front of the Lord, everybody is the same. Because service is rendered by, we have heard this in our lectures also, like how it is not the seva or the type of seva that we are doing, it is the mood with which we are doing. So a person who's, like, to give an example, they say, like, in the temple on Janmashtami day, let us say, so there is one person who has got the seva of performing archana to the deities which are kept there, and then somebody else might have got the seva of taking care of the slippers of the devotees who are visiting. Now, this might, to a materialistic eye, it might look like, oh, this is a better service, oh, this is not a very good service. But then actually the Lord doesn't see like that. We know this. The Lord is seeing the bhava. So a person who is doing the chapal seva in the right mood, as serving the devotees who have come to see the Lord, then he is more preferred, or the Lord doesn't differentiate between these two. The bhava, that is what he takes. So that is why the Lord is always bhavagrahi. He is bhavagrahi janardana. He is. So he looks at the bhava, and there are many examples in our scriptures which talk about how the bhava is important. The case of Shabari, the case of any other example that you want to give. The case of Vidura's wife. So where the Lord takes only the bhava and not the act itself. So from these we can understand that the Lord, in front of the Lord, actually everybody is same. So everybody is equal. But then based on our surrender, then he reciprocates. So that way, but then he reciprocates more than the surrender. So he is merciful. So bonus marks. It's like a student answering a paper, and then the answer the student has written is only fit for, let us say, 38 marks or something. But the teacher might give 2-3 marks extra to make him or her pass, because he has come up to 38, another 2 marks, and it'll clear him off. So that is mercy. Like the teacher is being a little merciful, appreciating the effort that he has taken, and he has come up to 38, but he couldn't do more. Let me help him so that he clears up. But that mercy will not happen to a person who scored, say, 10 marks. You cannot expect the mercy of a 10, another 30 marks as a mercy, and then, take that person out and then make that person pass. So no, that's not how it works. Person, we have to, that is what they mean when they say you have to qualify yourself for the mercy. Mercy is grace. So it should come without any endeavor, right? That is one way of, one logic of looking at it. But the other logic is by remembering this example of a student who scored 38 where the passing is 40, and another student who has got only, say, 10 marks out of 100. And then both, here in one place, the mercy is very obvious, he'll get it. The other one will not. So he got the mercy because of the effort he put in to score 38. The other person did not get because the effort was very, very minimalistic. And of course, other people who have got 90, 100 are in a different category. So like this, we can understand how the mercy works also, and how we see this whole thing without blaming the Lord, then by aligning ourselves in a way that we are accepting what is coming our way, and then doing the best based on what we have. Like what we have is the ability, the resources that are at our disposal, the ability that is there within me. I may not be a good singer, but then I'll try to do my best. I may not be a good teacher, but I'll try to do my best. I may not be good at speaking to people, but I'll still speak about Krishna and then try to do some book selling or something like that. So in this way, not comparing, but then inward looking, and then trying to look at what I have and then trying to do the best out of it, because he only sees the in the effort, the attitude that is going into the effort, and not the result of that effort. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. And then, of course, so there's 4 things we saw. The 4 movements in ISKCON, the 4 main activities that happen, which is the holy name, there's the chanting, we're connecting with the Lord. Books, when we read, of course, we connect with the Leelas, which is non-different from the Lord. And then when we distribute then we give to the others, then we are actually giving Krishna to them. We are introducing Krishna, or we are giving the Leelas to them. And then initiation, we are aligning ourselves, and then surrender is there. And then Varnashrama, which is classless society, which is what Prabhupada wanted, but Varnashrama not in the way that we are made aware of in the outside world, but there is another term that they use. This Varnashrama is called as Devi Varnashrama, which is not based on birth, but it is based on the qualities. That is the Varnashrama that Krishna actually set up. Chaturvarna Maya Shrishtam. That's the Varnashrama, which is called as Devi Varnashrama, which is talking about the ability that one possesses, the guna that one has, the predisposition that one has, and then accordingly a certain activity is given, which is again aligned to the Lord only. So it is service to the Lord, and thereby the Lord gets pleased, and thereby you qualify yourself. So you get, you come nearer and nearer to the passing mark, and then as you come to 35, 37, then you become a recipient of the mercy, and then you come out in flying colors. So you pass out from the material world. So in this way, we can understand. And these are the aspects that we are seeing from the personalities that are that we are discussing today, Lord Brahma and all that. So that is why in the last verse,
Sorry, chutney balda ke?
in the last verse, it is mentioned here that the Lord, in whatever form that they see, it is so magnanimous. And it is not like a boar is a very dirty animal, but then when the Lord comes in the form of a boar, he's all attractive still. And then there is magnificence in that also. So it might be a little difficult for us to place now, but then that's how it has to be viewed. Because a non-devotee will then immediately reject this avatar also. So it happened, no? Like I don't know if it is true, but they say that when in the 300, 400, 500 years back, when Muslims were trying to invade or occupy territories, so they were coming to on their way to Tirupati or something like that, and then somebody told them like, "Arey, why are you going there? They worship the pig or the boar, and then Muslims don't consider that as a very good animal, right? Oh, is it? So I'll not go there." The king says, or the invader said, and then he didn't go that side, and that's how nothing happened. So like this, we can understand when, but then the person who said that, he had a proper understanding. He used his intelligence. The Lord gave him the intelligence to say like that, and then thereby there was this protection that automatically happened. So the form is the same, but the way what happens when we see the form is by nature of the mercy of the Lord, and that ignites it makes us blissful, it makes us happy, makes us not fearful, and then it makes us joyful. That means then that we are in receipt of the mercy. Otherwise, we will still consider this as a mythology, and then start self-doubting, and then get discouraged, or you don't want to hear, and so on and so forth. So that is why Prabhupada ends this thing by saying, this poet Jayadev, a great devotee of the Lord, has sung the incident in his prayers for the incarnations. All the incarnations he has sung. So the one verse which is referring to the boar incarnation or the Varaha Rupa, it is here. It goes, Vasati Darshana Shikhare Dharani Tavalagna Kashini Kalanka Kaleva Nimagna Keshava Drutta Shukara Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare. So this is how what it means is, all glories to Lord Keshava or Krishna appeared as the boar. Earth was between his tongues, which appeared like the stars on the moon. It's a poetic way of picturizing the way the Lord went down and then brought Mother Earth up. And by singing this glory in this way, we will definitely become recipient to more of His mercy and continue our journey like this. So thank you for listening. If there are any questions or comments, please go ahead. Otherwise, it's 10:30. I'll stop here. Hare Krishna. Dandavat pranam to all of you. Any questions, please?
Thank you so much, Prabhu, for yet another wonderful session, as always. Devotees, any questions, please raise your hand.
Krishna, yes, Mataji. Mataji, that
Please,
number
Mataji.
pronounced Prabhuji. Prabhuji, is there any difference, Prabhuji, like in the potency of the Lord's name, like that mantra? They say that Vedic mantra, Hare, that starts with Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And the Maha mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna. So is there any difference, Prabhuji, like? Because many people in Kerala, they chant that, Prabhuji. So if at all we want them to chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, so how can we say? Like,
See, Mataji, it's a good question actually. So one is our own understanding. Our own understanding should be that there is no potency is the same. Krishna first or Rama first, the potency is the same. Why we say that? Because we have seen how Narada, he gave to Valmiki, he could not even say Rama, so he gave him Mara. So he gave a totally reversed sound vibration. But then by saying Mara, 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 it became Rama, Rama, and then he got the potency. So, the potency worked for him. So in this way, we can understand the potency is the same. But then, which is better, they might ask. So, no, it is not about which is better. It is actually about where we receive it from and how we are aligned. So now let us say if we are connected to ISKCON and then we want to align ourselves, then in ISKCON, they have been given this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra where Krishna is first and then Rama is second. So now by accepting in this sequence and then chanting it in this sequence, I am actually surrendering to the parampara, correct? To Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now, because I'm surrendering to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or to the parampara, the Gaudiya Vaishnavism, so the mercy will flow very nicely, strongly through them, and then I'll be able to move on quickly. Now, if I'm connecting to this parampara, but then surrender is not there, I will still want to maintain Rama and then not say Krishna. Then, because the Vedas say, in that it is quoted like that, and then all that, I come out with my own logic research and then try to bring in that, which is all true. I'm not saying it's not true, because Prabhupada himself has said it is mentioned elsewhere, Rama comes first, but then we say Krishna because we've been told by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to do that. So now in this aspect, what happens? Our surrender is being tested by the Lord. Lord will accept the name in any way, right? You think the Lord is so particular, oh, no, you said this first, no, I will not take. No, he's seeing how surrendered we are. So that is internally for us, so that we are clear. So now I'm here, I'm connected to ISKCON, I will say Hare Krishna and I will continue. If Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had said Hare Rama first, we would have all said Hare Rama first. Like that. Now, when it comes to the preaching, when we are taking the message across to others, we cannot tell all of this obviously in the first instance itself. They might say, I am used to you saying Krishna first, Rama first, then I'll say Krishna because there it is said like that. I say, oh, okay, yeah, I've heard that also. You can do that. But will you do that at least in one complete round and something like that? So once they start chanting, then the mercy, the potency of the name is always there. Whether you say this first or that. So anyway, it will have some act on them. It will act on them in a way that they become more surrendered. So slowly then they will change themselves and they'll start chanting the Hare Krishna Maha. So eventually they will all line there. So it will depend on how we are able to see that and how we shouldn't agitate them or try to drive them away from ISKCON or from what we are trying to put across by saying, no, don't do this. You have to do only this one. No, not like that. Sometimes we might have to just encourage them, then tell them, go ahead, that's nice. So do that only. One round you do it with the beats. Then do with the Panchatattva mantra once. You just add that and then say your thing. Then when they start chanting the names of Panchatattva names, Panchatattva names, so then of course the mercy of the Panchatattvas begin to flow. And then slowly they'll get the intelligence. So it all happen in them. So we just have to have the faith and the confidence.
okay.
I hope I answered your question.
Yes, Prabhuji. So what we can help them is just by giving the malas and ask them to chant the way they are doing. And
No, but
give
we
that-
can't say it like that. We'll have to say what it is. But then if you're used to chanting in this way, if they come and ask, then you say that. You don't have to presume, oh, they might not chant like this, so I'll tell everything. Not like that. Only when it comes as a question, then you can just tell them, it's okay, go ahead and then chant. You get my point. You don't have to be so defensive that, oh, this is ours, there also it is there, but you not like that. Or you can do both. Both will give you result. We can't become so philosophical. It will confuse them.
Okay,
I hope
Prabhuji.
you understood that. Yeah.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, one last thing, Prabhuji, like when we go for book distribution and everything, so many of the people ask, why should we have this book? So any powerful message that you can give us, Prabhuji, so that we can attract them. Hare Krishna.
From what I have heard from the others say, they say that it is a book that does the talking. So there are many instances where non-devotees have spoken about the book, power of the book. So whether it's a Hindu or a non-Hindu, everywhere they have been attracted by. People from across the various walks of life have been attracted by this particular book. And we as Hindus, we take this as a sacred for us. So from that perspective, I mean, we'll have to give them certain things which they will take. You can't give a strong dose of medicine because the person is sick. Any doctor will give small dosages first and then see whether they are reacting, whether there is a reaction or an overreaction, and then in that way they will alter the dosage. If it has become strong also, then it will have a reaction and then it will take a longer time for the cure to happen. So let's not expect too much of miracle to happen, but just do what we have to do and leave the rest to the Lord. That way, actually, miracles will happen, and then we will see it also. Then we will be able to appreciate the surrender more than we are actually trying to. There it becomes testing. Like we say, like, okay, I'll try to sell now. If it doesn't help me, then that means the Lord is not being merciful or I am at fault. No, not in that negative way, but in a positive way. We just do what we have to do. That's the way we will have to see it. I mean, this is what I would look at it like that. So I mean, I'm just putting that across to you.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji. Take your blessings to do that, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Dandavat pranams, Prabhuji.
They're always
Raji Lakshmi Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I was just thinking, why does the Lord decide to come out of Brahma's nostrils, Prabhuji?
So that we have this explanation that Vedas personified. Okay, we saw that example. And secondly, the Lord can come in any way. This is what our acharyas have said. He can come out in any way. So he came as a boar, he came in through the nostril, he comes out of a pillar, and then he comes in the form of a fish, that also like a kamandalu, and then the hand, and then, it goes. So he can come in any way. He's just trying to say that for him, it doesn't matter, because for him, everything is equal. All animals, all living entities, they are all the same for the Lord. Doesn't really matter. So, and he decides. He reserves that choice with himself. In fact, where is it said? It says that Lord reserves right. Nobody can dictate to the Lord. He reserves the right when to come, how to come, and all of that. So it is his choice, and why not? So it's like we don't ask if okay. I'll take the same example of the Toyota company owner, Mr. Toyota. If he decides to walk down to his plant, nobody is going to say, why did he walk? He had so many cars with him. He has a Rolls Royce. Why does he have to walk? No, he wanted to walk because you will know that you will not ask that question. He'll say, maybe he wanted to walk. That's all. It is his wish, his desire, right? And he can do that. Likewise, when small company owners can have this kind of privilege and right to do what they want, Lord definitely has that. So he will come in any way. But in whatever way he comes, many things get fulfilled. And that's the super intelligence of the Lord. And the Leelas are also so much more. Variety he provides. And then he wants variety, variegatedness. He doesn't want it boring, like every day sit in the same car, take the same route. Even we get bored like that, right? Even if it is a very good car. We might say, no, today let me take a different route. Or otherwise we'll say, let me take that other car, even though that might be a little older car. We might say, let me take that today for a change. Or we might say, today I will take the cycle. It's okay. Or I'll say, I'll walk down today. So like that. He can come out in any way.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
One question, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Is this bear and the Varaha avatar which killed Hiranyaksha, is it same or is it different bears?
It's the same. No?
That means he has only come again at that time.
Again, after he leaves Mother Earth up, and then he challenges, because they know that he is the one who found Mother Earth, so they have to be punished. So
Prabhuji, thank you.
First the correction of the wrong, and then the punishment. Next, correction means setting right what has gone. It is like in an accident, when an accident is caused, like you first help the victim, and then you catch the culprit who caused it.
But in that story, it is told that this whole earth is rounded up by Hiranyaksha. He took that earth and he has just kept it around him just like a mat. And then But here it is said that the earth has gone down below the sea and all.
See, actually, Prabhuji, what I have heard is for this, not only in this particular story, but there are many stories where there are variations that we have seen. Like Bhasmasura, he kept his hand on his own head, or he kept it on Vishnu's head, nothing happened, then he made him, or Vishnu came as a dancer, and then in the process of dancing, he puts her head on her, a hand on her head, and he does it, and then he got killed. Now, these variations are allowed because all of them could be true. That is what our acharyas say. Because if you look at all these incarnations, they are scheduled incarnations, and these incarnations come in that particular time. Like every millennia, these things happen. Like in one day of Brahma, there are so many manvantras, and that Mahayugas are there. How many Mahayugas are there? 1,000 Mahayugas are there. In every Mahayuga, in Satya Yuga, there will be certain incarnation, then the next, like that it follows. Only Krishna Avatara does not happen. It happens only in one day, once in the day of Brahma, which means in the 1,000 cycle, only once Krishna comes. Otherwise, there's some other form that would have come and then done a particular Leela and gone. So when there are so many Leelas that have happened, it will not be exactly the same. There will be some variation. This is what I was talking about earlier also. The Lord wants some change, some variations will be there. So like if you read the Bhagavatam that we have now, it says that in one particular shloka, Buddha avatar is described by saying that this personality who comes as Buddha is speaking to people who are flying in aeroplanes. But we know in our case, in the Buddha avatar that happened now recently, there were no people who were flying in planes. They were all just ordinary people. And then Buddha came and then he preached ahimsa and non-violence. But there also the preaching is ahimsa and non-violence, but it was for people who travel in planes, it says. So that must have happened in some other yuga where the situation was like that, and then he came at that point and then he did. So these variations are there. It is acceptable. As long as the message is not diluted and we understand that the Lord can come, and he has come many times. And then Narasimha story that we know of now is a story not from this Mahayuga, but it is from the previous Mahayuga. Some of the stories are from the previous Kalpa also. I think Sati and then Parvati, it spans different Manvantaras and all that. So like that. Narada's story is also one Kalpa old. Like previous Kalpa, he was a boy, and then this Kalpa, he becomes Narada. So this whole thing is happening. It's so vast. So you might find some variations here and there. But variation is like, again, as a Vaishnava, like we should accept it. Why not? I mean, maybe that is also true. So because Shruti, that is why this aspect of Smriti and Shruti are there, Prabhu. I'm digressing a little bit, but Smriti means it is out of remembrance, and then the stories, the Puranas are all coming under the category of Smriti. And then Shruti. So if Smritis are supporting the Shruti, then we accept the Smriti. If they don't support, then we reject the Smriti completely. Like the Purana, the story, something that we've heard, which is not aligning to the basic principles of the Lord being supreme, the Lord being merciful and all of that, and it's giving a different kind of a view, then we have to reject that. Then we have to conclude that it is wrong. That is how we compare Shruti, or we see if Smriti is aligning to Shruti. If it is not aligning, then rejects the Smriti. I mean, that's a very wide topic, but I'm just telling you in a very high level way, in a brief way. I hope that helps.
Why I asked this, Prabhuji, here the cause of this Varaha coming is just that Manu asking where I should stay and all that, and give me a place and all. Then Brahma, then they pray that earth is not there. So they pray, and Mahavishnu appears as Varaha. As a small thing from the nose and becomes Varaha, and straight away finds the earth down below the sea and takes out. Whereas the cause for that earth down, in other stories, Hiranyaksha takes the earth and takes it down. That's why he has come to kill. So which is the cause? Like, is it different phase, or is it same? That is only, or second time it happened again, this earth going down.
Well, in fact, they say that this has happened more than once. So that is what I'm trying to say. It has happened many times. So in each of the time, you will have one version of it coming out, and accordingly, then the Leelas are happening. So there could be some variations in the stories that we hear. That is what I'm trying to say. But then all of them will be true, because if it is in the Bhagavatam, it is true. It is just that it would have happened in a different. We cannot say that story is wrong, this is correct. We say our conclusion would be that that must be in a different Mahayuga, where that kind of a scenario was there, and here it is a little different. Like say, even in some stories, like variety is needed, no Prabhu. That's what I'm trying to put across. So, like say, even in the regular day-to-day, they when they are making a movie, they will change a little bit the situation and all, even if they are remaking it in another language and all that, like say. So, because some variety, something they add in there. So, Lord, I mean, where is all this variety coming from? It's coming from the Lord. Lord doesn't want to do the same thing, so some change will be there.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Very kind of you.
That's how the acharyas explain, and then that's what I've heard. So I'm just narrating that to you. That's all.
Hare Krishna. Any more doubts, devotees? Hare Krishna. We can end the session, Prabhuji, with your permission, with Panchakalpataru.
Please go ahead.
No more questions. Panchakalpataru. Kripa Sindhubhyev cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namah. Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for another wonderful session, answering all our questions. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Dandavad pranams to all devotees. With your permission, shall I end the session, Prabhuji?
Yes, Mataji. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.